When I first started out in pediatrics, which was about 12 years ago, bone marrow transplant was just coming of age. And I feel privileged now to be part of another technological breakthrough. And that's what we mentioned, using the umbilical cord blood to try and save children's lives. It's an amazing thing to see a child who has leukemia recover. And I've seen, thank God, a couple of hundred kids have bone marrow transplant. And hopefully in the future, with the odds being reduced, like Mr. Finkel said, to 500 to 1, of finding somebody who's compatible to match them in order to get a transplant. In order for somebody to get a transplant, they have to be matched. And that was one of the biggest problems with bone marrow transplant, because in order for a person to get a bone marrow transplant, somebody has to donate a specimen of their blood. And there are a lot of people who are afraid, number one, to go to the doctor, nevertheless even afraid to give a little drop of blood to be tested. This breakthrough using the umbilical cords, and there are millions of babies born across at least the United States each year, will enable us to harvest the umbilical cord blood and test it, and find a suitable match for these children, unfortunately, who don't have any matches in the bone marrow registry at the moment. So the fear of being tested is taking away, because a baby can give some of their umbilical blood without having any problems. Another problem that we have with bone marrow is that only people of the ages between 18 and 55 can give their blood. With umbilical cords, we can use all the millions every year that we get and hopefully find more donors for these unfortunate children. And also the minorities, which have trouble finding bone marrow donors, will be more aptly matched with these umbilical cords. And it's a great technological breakthrough. More research is needed, more money is needed for funds, and more hope is given to these children using these umbilical cord blood transplants. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rosenbaum. Now, I would like to introduce everybody to one of the reasons why we're here tonight. Again, and that's to help children. We have with us tonight a very special guest. In fact, two special guests. We have 7-year-old Natalie Curry from Lanesville, Indiana, who was one of the first children to receive an umbilical cord blood cell transplant. I'd like to welcome her and her mother, Leanne Curry.
Good evening. I think that people prior to me have touched on different areas, and the area that I'm going to bring directly to you is living proof that this can be successful. I'm holding the success in my arms. We're very proud to be 3 years post-transplant. The transplant was performed 3 years ago in Paris, and she's living a healthy, normal life thanks to that medical breakthrough. The cord and placenta blood was collected from her sister in 1988 and preserved in liquid nitrogen until we used it in Paris for a bone marrow transplant. She had absolutely no complications from the transplant at all and is leading a complete and normal life now and is a second grader and doing great. She's a little shy, or I would ask her to say a little bit on the area. But needless to say, cord blood transplantation is for the future. At birth, the blood is discarded. Absolutely nothing is done with the blood but thrown away. It would be wonderful to be able to think that that blood that's discarded could help save many children and give them the opportunity to live a full and normal life. There's absolutely no reason why this can't give a lot of children the opportunity to have a transplantation when no other donor can be found. Natalie's case, we conceived the donor. She was diagnosed with Fanconi's anemia in 1986, and we were fortunate enough to be able to have the time to create a donor for her. It took 3 pregnancies. We are very, very proud parents of 2 other healthy daughters, and the last was the perfect HLA type. So we're very fortunate. I know how fortunate we are because in the medical world, you're subject to a lot of different situations that you would never choose to put yourself into. And as a parent, sitting there, knowing that your child is on a fine line between life and death, it's very, very scary. And I know how blessed and how fortunate my family is that we still have her with us and enjoy it every minute of the day. But I know a lot of parents aren't that fortunate. Thank you again for coming. It was our pleasure to come. We're enjoying New York City. Thanks again.
Thank you all for coming. You hear me? There's really nothing more to be said. You've heard so much information, and we thank you so much for coming down to listen to it, to have us inform you of all these facts. And now we know that there is a real magic in the air. Things can happen. I just want to say when I first saw Ruth Warwick walk in and have an arm wrestle with Randy Macho Man Savage, I thought maybe she'd even beat him, but he didn't let her. Maybe next year. And our goal again is to save the thousands of kids and young adults that can be saved. And today, with the umbilical cord research, we can do it. And there are just 3 things that I'd like to just recap on how you can all help. One is, let us educate your friends and family by allowing us to speak to them at their associations and your social clubs. 2, have your company underwrite the process of testing your employees for bone marrow, and yourselves as well. It's just a simple blood test. All you need is a tiny drop of blood. We can then match it up with the computer. And finally, we invite you all to come to our Michael Landon Award Dinner on March 15th at the Marriott Marquis Hotel in New York City. Bring your family, your friends, and enjoy the program. With your help, we can do it. Good night.